What's up, Block fam? Welcome to today's episode where we are standing here with Bjorn Shuster, the lead designer of the brand new 2022 Harley-Davidson Low Rider ST. So Harley-Davidson has recently released their new ST line. So we've got the Low Rider ST, we've got the Road Glide ST, and the Street Glide ST. You guys have seen lots of videos out there on the Road Glide and the Street Glide. You guys know that they've got the 117 cubic inch Milwaukee 8, minimal bags. They're basically like changing the suspension, changing some of the geometry to better be on like more of that performance bagger route. Also, we do apologize for any of the noise. We are here at Daytona Bike Week. It is the start of Bike Week, so if there is some loud motorcycles in the background, America. So, roll intro, and then we're gonna come back, talk with Bjorn here about a lot of the design aesthetic behind us. Bjorn, if you want to let people know who you are, we've got him holding a phone here just as a heads up, guys, because it is loud and we want you to be able to hear him. He's got a lot of insightful stuff to say.
My name is Bjorn Shuster. Pleasure to be with you here today. And as Block mentioned, I am the design manager within the Harley-Davidson design department, who kind of worked with the team responsible for this bike. Of course, we work with a variety of team members in the product development team at Harley, you know, engineering, marketing, project management, a whole bunch of stakeholders that eventually make this machine come to life. But what I wanted to talk to you guys today a little bit about was to give you a little bit of design history and insights into where this fairing comes from and some of the thought that we put into it as we're designing a product like this. So, you know, when you look at this fairing from kind of the front, there's an obvious connection to our history, right? And a lot of times at Harley, you know, we pay special attention to our genealogy. Let's call them obvious roots back to the FXRT. That was developed in the late 70s, early 80s. And what a lot of people don't know is that FXRT, it originally came from a really wild prototype motorcycle development called the Nova. And the Nova was a V4 touring motorcycle that was being developed by Harley at the time. If you ever get to the Harley-Davidson Museum in Milwaukee, there's a great chapter devoted to that machine. Well, unfortunately, you know, the Nova didn't make it back then, but Harley repurposed a lot of those tools and it went on to you know, contribute to the aesthetics of the FXRT. We're seeing such a growing swell and popularity in the performance scene, and customers taking those original FXR fairings or repops or aftermarket variants that look kind of similar and placing them on a variety of bikes, you know, Dynas, Softails, even Sportsters. The first thing you notice about that fairing is its overall proportion, right? 40 some odd years ago, that was developed for a different machine. So it has a larger proportion to it. It has a kind of a softness to some of its forms. But I would say one of the most iconic features of that fairing, when you look back at the original, is the intakes that flank the headlight left and right. And for us, it was really important to capture some of that genetics, some of that genealogy. That creates a very distinct, you know, kind of homage back to that FXRT fairing. However, on the Nova, like I was mentioning, those big giant intakes were actually feeding an airbox that lived where the fuel tank did. When that got repurposed onto the FXRT, those became just fairing vents. We didn't want to put a faux vent on there, so it was very important for us to have this aesthetic appearance. You know, one of the things that's kind of really unique about Harley-Davidson is our engineering team spends a ton of time in the wind tunnel developing our fairings to get class-leading aerodynamic comfort. I'm not an aerodynamic physicist, or so I can't really tell you, you know, the ins and outs of all the fluid dynamics and whatnot, but I can tell you that, you know, getting a fairing to perform well is a lot more complicated than just blocking the wind. So, you know, what these intakes do is, you know, one of the things that's crucial to rider comfort is they control specific flows of air which disrupt the airstream behind that's in the rider pocket, and that contributes to, you know, the ability for us to reduce head buffeting. You'll see that's also happening here with this intake. Like I said, hours and hours of testing to ensure that these things are pointed in the right direction, they have the right degree of optimization. So what's really cool is it's a form and a function story. It gives us this aggressive intake that ties us back to our family genetics. but it also, is a massive contribution to rider comfort. The first thing you really see when you look at this fairing is the proportion. If you kind of step back a little bit, there's a specific proportion to the Low Rider ST fairing. It's right-sized to the rest of the bike. And we really wanted to strike that balance between getting an aggressive look and an aggressive proportion, but also giving the rider a lot of wind protection and touring amenity and capability. So when you look at that old fairing, some of it's a result of the manufacturing processes at the time, especially in the aftermarket, how things are laid up with, fiberglass and different materials and whatnot. There's kind of a softness to those features. And on this one, you'll notice that we've gone to great lengths to kind of to really provide tension in these surfaces. And if you look at the way these features, this undercut, the vent, all of this it's formed really tightly. It helps give the bike an overall athleticism. It's like it creates a, when you look at the way these highlights form and the shadowing that comes underneath and just the form, gives it visual lightness, and it gives the bike motion even when it's parked. It doesn't look like this heavy form that's resting on top of the bike. It's got like a real aggressivity and a punch to it. If you look at the bottom of these intakes, they wrap around into this sort of wind splitter chin spoiler element. And that's another connection to our past. But it also, when you look at the bike from a direct front view, it really helps take your eye right into those intakes. So it's like looking at the front of a F4 Phantom, with these big intakes on either side of the fuselage, and it just draws your eye right to this impact that's going on. Another thing that's really cool, or we're excited about with the Low Rider ST, is just the integration of this windshield. The way the windshield kind of interfaces right into the fairing, and you see this beautiful seamless upper duct and upper intake that just rolls right in. When we walk around to the back of the bike, this is a really important consideration, because a lot of times when you look at the aftermarket fairings, you're just getting a A-sided fairing that's essentially a shell. So when you come around and you look at the B-side, a lot of times you'll see like you'll see the B-side of that fairing shell, or you'll see like the fiberglass. Well, with the Low Rider ST, as you can see here, there's a beautiful inner, and it's all tailored with, look at the way this chamfer runs around and rolls in. Look at the shut lines between the vent and the inner. And what's really exciting is there's this top panel, and you'll notice on the bike that was at the display stand with the other STs, it had the optional P&A speakers. What's so cool about this is that this panel just comes out. So there's no more like taking a fairing apart to apply P&A accessories. Really cool modularity and flexibility with this feature. And then, just looking down, everything is tailored. You look at the fairing bracket, we pay close attention to even the shape of this hole in the stamping here, to give everything a technical aesthetic. Another thing that you're going to find on the inside of the sort of what I call the rider view or the cockpit view is you'll notice a little bit of difference between this and the Low Rider S. The Low Rider S, on both of the family of bikes here, we chose this year to move the instrumentation a little bit higher. A lot of these riders are using these machines in like a dynamic sense and a performance riding sense. And when you do that, you want the telltale to be right where you can see it. You don't necessarily want to be cranking your head or anything. So we made a conscious decision to get that instrumentation right up in the rider's field of view. And you'll notice the Low Rider S, it comes with a little bit more, let's say, traditional kind of big tack, center-mounted race tack, and that's got a lot of American performance connotation if you think about like old, drag tacks and things on muscle cars. On the ST, we chose to use our tech riser, and that was a little bit deliberate. I wanted to free up, the team wanted to free up some real estate around here. So if you think about, this bike being used for, various touring applications, this kind of gives the rider a little bit more visual real estate to mount like a, cell phone or RAM mount or any of their accessories that are bar mounted. With that instrumentation moving, it freed us up to do a whole new console. So you'll see here, we've really slammed the center console down. This creates a really nice view from the side. You get this real low profile console, the beautiful medallion inset. And you'll notice the finishes too. It's all coordinated. So your triple clamp, your tech riser, your center console, all done in this kind of like, straight no nonsense performance crinkle finish.
Harley's always been really good about wrinkle black, gloss black, like the textures.
This particular Low Rider ST is finished in the gunship gray. So it comes in gunship and vivid black. And you'll notice it maintains the same classic Harley-Davidson racing typeface on the tank. This is this goes all the way back to, I think, the late teens with our competition heritage. And that typeface is also on the, adorns the fuel tank on the Road Glide ST and the Street Glide ST as well. So it's really about, between the bronze finishes on the wheels and the typeface on the tank, we've kind of connected it to our ST family. Now, this particular machine here is fitted with a little bit of P&A. It's got the Comfort 2-Up touring seat, as well as these are the 80 grit foot pegs that are on this one. One of the things that a lot of customers are noticing on the ST is the saddlebags ride a little bit higher on the bike. And we did that on purpose because we wanted to get the ride height of this bike kind of jacked up. This comes with the taller shock as well in the rear. So the whole bike is lifted. That really kind of helps connotate that performance stance. It gets the thing lifted up in side view. So another one of those levers that we bake into the design to contribute to the aggressivity that we're looking for on this bike. On the back end, all the STs as well as the Low Rider S come with this LED Zeppelin tail light. I think Block mentioned, a few guys are probably going to end up replacing these when they get a little aggressive with their wheelies.
Yeah, the guys who put the fairings in the front are usually the wheelie boys. So it'll be the first thing to scrape.
Right now, the Department of Transportation does not have a wheelie reg, but, I think those guys won't have a hard time figuring out how to relocate the tail light.
Exactly.
Another thing I want to mention, guys, is there's been a lot of discussion here and there about the bags being separate heights, right? So why we do that, right? The Sport Glide bag, which this is derivative of, although how I mentioned it is placed higher up, it's primarily obviously about exhaust clearance. We find a nice balance between giving the customer maximum space and maximum ability without shrinking both the bags up and like sacrificing some of that. But the other thing I want to mention is when you get down here and you look at where that clearance is, right now this shorter bag, it obviously clears a 2-into-2 system. But what we're seeing is a lot of the aftermarket systems that guys are going to end up running on these. If you think about, when they shift to a 2-into-1, not all 2-into-1s exit totally horizontal. A lot of them are starting to have like a little bit of a sweep or a kick up. So it's kind of important for us to maintain that, the ability, like, hey, if a guy puts a pipe on and it ends right here, he doesn't have to lift his bag up, or now he's got to get a different bag.
So you guys are trying to be considerate to the consumer.
Yeah, we try and pay a lot of attention to, one of the core ethos of Harley is that there's a modularity to all of our bikes. Customization and modification has always been a big part of who we are. And, we think about how is the customer going to modify it? How am I going to modify it when I have my own, and we take that into account when we're designing these.
Yeah, exhaust is one of the first things. You got to make a sound, sound like a Harley. So one of the things that, like I was saying to you guys earlier, was that Harley-Davidson is, I think, paying a lot of attention to what the consumer is doing with their motorcycles. And this is kind of like one of those answers into like going in that performance bagger route. They've been seeing people put on fairings, so they watched and listened to the consumer, and they've now come out with their own fairing that can go onto a Low Rider S. So now making it the Low Rider ST. Giving you factory bag options as well, raising it up a little bit even on the right side so that you can, if you do decide to go with an upswept exhaust, like you've got that, but then you also have a little more storage on the left side. I mean, I think that's considerate. Obviously fit, finish, OEM, absolutely beautiful. If you want a larger, taller windshield, you do have the option for that. You want some speakers in there, you can basically pop this out, pop the new one in. It's already pre-wired up, and you plug it in, plug and play. With personally owning a Low Rider S, having the gauges down here, it does have that nostalgic, like, that's
it's
how the Low Rider S has been forever.
Very classic Dyna Q,
Did have the FXDR for a while, and I had this gauge, and I actually liked it, and that was coming over from a Dyna Low Rider S. I don't think you guys will be too unhappy with the digital gauge, especially with it being more in your field of vision instead of mounted to the tank. The 117 obviously offering like a really great amount of performance, and then even Harley-Davidson offers a lot of aftermarket stuff for that. If you want to go all the way up to 131, you can make it an absolute beast. So I think this is a great offering from the factory. I know it's something that like a lot of people have tried to build the bike into, and now the fact that you can get it straight from the factory like this, and then take and put your own customization on this. How excited are you to see what people do to these bikes once they like are released?
Oh, I can't wait. we're super pumped about what this bike represents. You know, it's bringing performance and touring to our Softail platform, and I think it's really, you know, just seeing the passion that customers are bringing to this genre in general, and watching it evolve. I can't wait to see what customers are going to do to this. It's a bike that we've all been really excited about for a long time. We've been watching the space. I love the fact that it's growing. I can't wait to see guys take this and use it as their canvas.
I can't wait to see the paint jobs that come out of this thing, man, especially with the front fairing. It's a blank canvas, you know, essentially, and so I know people are going to have a lot of fun with these things. I can't wait. Anything else you want to throw in or let the consumer know, let the viewers know?
You know, like I said, we're stoked to be here. It's awesome to be at Daytona, and, you know, really excited and proud of the team that put this together, and, you know, looking forward to watching this segment continue to grow.
Awesome, man. Yeah, stoked to be here with you guys. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to talk to you. Thank you for taking the time. I do apologize if it is a little loud, guys. It's I usually say it's a live working shop because we're working in the shop, but it's a live working motorcycle event. So here in Daytona Bike Week 2022. If you guys do have any questions, comments about the bike, if there's anything you want to know, I will drop a link down in the description below to the spec sheet regarding everything. Did you touch on the suspension? You were talking about the suspension is tuned differently in the front as well.
Yeah, so I think a question came up earlier when we were out at the stand. One of the customers was walking by and he was saying, hey, is this fairing available? Can I bolt it on to a, you know, my Low Rider S? And right now the fairing and the system is not currently available as a parts and accessories item. And what I wanted to touch on a little bit is, you know, what's different about the Low Rider S and ST. Obviously both bikes share that 28-degree head angle on the frame. However, on the ST, our engineering team has specifically tuned the suspension to match the needs of the fairing, right? So if you were to bolt this onto a Low Rider ST, you're not getting all the content. Sorry, Low Rider S. You're not getting all the content that comes with the ST with that additionally tuned suspension.
Yeah, because I know that's definitely going to be a question, is for those of you that own previous Low Riders or Low Rider S's, would you be able to buy just the fairing, retrofit it onto those? At the moment, it is not currently for sale without the rest of the bike, but potentially in the future. And then if you do, obviously you want to consider that front suspension because you are adding additional weight onto the front. So,
I mean, the good news is it comes with the bike.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, buy the fairing and you get the bike for free. Yeah. All right, well, I hope this video was insightful to you guys. Definitely a super cool opportunity to be able to talk to Bjorn, the designer behind all of it. I absolutely love the amount of detail that was paid attention to the bike. It's gonna be really cool to see what people do with this. I know it's already sold out for y'all's first run of deliveries and all that stuff, so if you guys are wanting to get on board with one of these, hit up your local Harley dealership. Big thanks to Bjorn.
Thanks, guys.
I asked him earlier if there was anywhere that you could find him. He said at Harley-Davidson. So you guys be sure to go give Harley-Davidson a follow. Big thanks to Matt, as always, for the opportunity to set everything up. Check out the links down below for all the specs on the bike if you do have any questions about the 117, transmission, 6-speed, cruise control. Oh, it does come with cruise control. I know that's a big deal for a lot of people, especially with the Low Rider S's, because it didn't come with cruise control. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, though. If you did, do me a favor, hit the like, lets YouTube know we're doing a good job. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so it sends notifications for future uploads and activity. Until next time, ride safe, stay vigilant. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Thanks, guys.